Welcome to Tomorrow Makers, where we explore how we learn, live, work, and play now and in the future. I'm Carlos Ramos.
And I'm Summer Beatty.
Summer, we need to join the Army.
Oh my goodness. I know, I'm convinced after this conversation we just had.
Actually, not Army, but Army ROTC.
Right.
And then eventually the Army.
But I do believe we're too old, sadly. Aww. I think that we should have talked to Mike a number of years ago. We won't say how many. But yeah, I wish I would have had that information when making a decision, for college and career paths. And there's so much they have to offer.
Well, your son's at that age, starting to think about
we're
making
not
a
ready to
decision.
admit that he's at that age yet. But yeah.
Getting close.
Right. So he's in 9th grade. So yeah, I mean, soon there will be a time where he'll be making a decision where to go to college, how to pay for college, and all that fun stuff.
So before this recording, how comfortable would you have been in the idea of my son's going into the Army?
Yeah, honestly, not too much. As a young boy, he was playing with Army figurines and looking at Army books, and I'm like, I don't know about this. Let's just keep it at arm's length. But after hearing this conversation or having this conversation with Mike, I think it's a fantastic path, and I'd honestly be okay with it for my child. Not just okay with it. I'm very it makes a lot of sense. All of the perks, and I think that Mike said how much fun he was having at least a half dozen times, and he doesn't come from a military family, so he found the right path for him.
And so Mike being Mike Giordano, who's a construction management major in his final year with us, I don't know how many years he did Army ROTC, but it seems like he did it for all of them because he transferred here. Mm-hmm. And I think he started with his first year at West Virginia University. He's
been, with ROTC since he came to campus.
And my gosh, what a great young man.
Oh, yeah.
Getting all the officer training. He's got himself elevated, and he's got all the Penn College knowledge that came with it.
Yeah, he has a plan, and he's going to share it with us. So we hope you enjoy this one. All right, so let's kick this off. We are here with Mike Giordano. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Giordano.
Giordano.
There's Italian pronunciation. There's the American. That works.
Okay.
It's good.
All right. Wonderful. Well, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I think we got word that you spoke at a board of directors meeting, and somebody told me you were fantastic and we needed to chat with you on the podcast.
I don't know about fantastic, but I did do that. It was a good time. It was actually a really cool experience to see the insides of the college. So I actually enjoyed it a lot. But yeah, it was cool.
You're curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So construction management student, and last semester you were the commander of the ROTC Battalion.
I was the battalion commander last semester, which is basically I told him it's like the equivalent of being the president of a club. For anybody that doesn't understand what that means, that's essentially what it is. This semester I'm the CSM, which is basically the other half of that.
Okay.
So, but construction management, yeah, that's what I'm here for, but I love it.
So we talked a little bit before we pressed record, and I'd like to get into how you found Penn College, what drew you here, and at what point did you find out about ROTC? Oh,
yeah. Okay. So I started my college career at West Virginia University. I didn't really know what the heck I wanted to do. I didn't have a major. I went there undecided. Eventually got into the mechanical engineering portion of that, and I hit the math classes and was like, nope, really quick. So after that happened, I was kind of scrambling. I was like, I need to figure out what the heck I want to do here. One of my buddies went to Lycoming, and he kind of had a similar situation. He was like, we go to Penn College, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Penn College. Yeah, that sounds interesting. And so I started looking at majors, found the construction management major, and I was like, this sounds kind of cool. I mean, don't tell anybody, but I might not have read the actual description. But
wow, and you're a senior, so that worked out well for you. Yeah. We don't advise. Please come
I don't
learn
advise.
about the major.
I don't advise. Now, it's a great major, don't get me wrong. But I did that, and then obviously I was already doing ROTC there, so I was like looking into the program here and what they offer and the different things, and they offered free room and board for anyone that is in the program just like that. So that, like at any other school, that's a full scholarship. Like you can choose between your tuition or your room and board, and that's just something that Penn College waives, which is crazy. That's like extremely, extremely financially smart. And then on top of that, it's a smaller program here. So I saw that and I was like, oh, this means it's a better opportunity for me to be able to show that I deserve like a scholarship. And I came here and both happened. So
when you say smaller program, do you mean the ROTC or your academic program, or both?
Both. I actually didn't mind like the large class sizes of West Virginia, but now that I'm here, like I don't think I could do a class size that big. But the ROTC program's a lot smaller here. It's not small by any means, but it definitely allows you to kind of like shine a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How many people approximately?
A little bit more than 40. I think we have like 42 right now is what it is. But it's hard for me to like describe to people, but the atmosphere of Penn College's ROTC program, it's such a different atmosphere from those big schools. There, everything is kind of like a competition. Like how can I make myself look like I'm really good? How can I make myself like shine? Here, it's kind of like if somebody's not shining, like everybody's trying to help them. Like nobody's trying to push anybody down to look better. It's always like a super helpful atmosphere. And that's totally different from a lot of ROTC programs.
What do you think causes that? Leadership or just the community here, period? Because it's kind of sounds a lot of what I've heard from other people say about our culture here on campus more generally too. Yeah,
I think it totally does have part to do with the culture on campus, but I think a lot of it is just we're all friends and we all live together because the free room and board, we all spend a lot of time together, and it's just such a smaller program that we get to have more interactions with each other. But obviously the school does push that, and like they push for that and we push for that. So it's just kind of like a chain reaction, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I guess we should take a step back and talk about what is ROTC, because we know what it is. But thanks for hanging on. If you're hanging on and you're like, what is ROTC? Can you give us a little description of what I think you said in a press release? We're not all about just rolling in the mud. Like, what does it entail? Yeah, so it stands for Reserves Officer Training Corps. So if you are going into the Army, they have it for Air Force, they have it for the Marines as well, but we're going to talk about the Army because that's what I'm in. It essentially is a path that you can take to go through college and then commission as an officer. There are different ways to do it, but this is the way that you would go college first, and then once you finish college, you commission. Okay, and then talk about what commission means. Is that a 1-year commitment? Commissioning is essentially like getting a degree through the Army. That's when they give you your rank and you are fully like, you're in the military, you're in the Army. But that commitment varies depending on the person. So like I signed personally a 4+4 contract. So it's 4 years active duty, 4 years ready reserves. But that totally can change. It just depends on if they give you scholarship money, if you get different benefits. Gotcha.
And so going ROTC instead of saying directly enlisting in the Army, what's the difference there?
Oh, yeah. So that was a big one that I was thinking about when I was in high school. When you do ROTC, you're obviously going to go through college. You'll have that degree, which is huge. And getting a degree from Penn College is just perfect. So, but you'll have that degree, and then you'll also commission as an officer versus being an enlisted person. So that means higher pay. Most of the jobs that you'll be doing is more on the managerial side. You're just kind of like I don't want to say like higher person in the military, but that's kind of like what it is.
I'm assuming there's a lot of skills that are built into the ROTC program. What are some of those skills that you've gained going through ROTC? I'd say like the teamwork side of stuff is huge. Everything is relying on other people. Whether you're doing like sticks lanes, which is the rolling in the mud part. That's when we go outside and we're like doing simulations of like battle tactics or just stuff in the classroom. But I think probably teamwork is the biggest portion of that.
and trusting other people.
If anyone has been on campus at like daybreak and you get a little bit into spring here, I don't know, you guys might even be out there now. Around daybreak, you guys are doing exercises. There's usually some type of inter-battalion or inter-battalion competition between the schools that are there.
Oh, yeah.
And I see you guys running around campus with logs on your shoulders. Is that the stick sling? Because I'm figuring you guys are just
carrying sticks.
Really big sticks.
No, so that's our morning PT. We do that 3 days a week. I mean, we have fun with it because we're forced to do it. So it's just an exercise. Like we exercise. We'll like run around the campus. We go over to Lycoming Gym, like their gym on their campus, because they're in our program as well. But the stick slings themselves, we'll do those most of the time over at like the Earth Science Center, or there's a place over in Lock Haven called Teats Run that we go to.
And so what is a stick sling?
Stick sling, so like say like an ambush, right? You're going to ambush somebody. So the Army has its own like versions of how you do that and the different tactics that you can use. And so we eventually, our junior year, have to go to a thing called CST, which is like our version of basic training, and they grade you on them there. So we practice them here. But they are like basically your platoon size, so like 40 people, 50 people, and you lead them through the motions of what you're going to do like in the situation. So we'll like all be in uniform, obviously. Sometimes we'll have like blanks. Sometimes we'll have like rubber ducks, we call them, which is like a simulated military equipment. We'll use that. We'll go and we'll like set up. We'll lay down in the woods. We'll have like simulated bad guys, and then just go through like the leadership qualities and leadership things that you have to do in order to make this stuff happen.
So were you already running and lifting and doing some of those athletic things before you joined? I'm just thinking, if somebody's hearing this, do they need to have, how many miles are you running? What's the sort of physical conditioning that is required to be involved? And have you seen fellow cadets?
Cadets, yeah.
Yes, okay,
yeah,
I don't want to say the wrong
cadets.
thing. There's a proper name for it. Fellow cadets come that maybe weren't as prepared, and then you can kind of see that transformation.
Yeah, so it's totally kind of what you said. So if you're doing sports in high school, that's totally going to help you. That's going to help you a lot. I did personally, I played soccer, I played lacrosse, and I played hockey. I wouldn't say the muscle aspect matters quite as much. It's definitely important, but it doesn't matter quite as much. If you are in shape and you can run, that's half the battle. Because we do our PT, obviously, and that'll help like kids that need a little bit of help, but I would say it definitely would benefit you to show up more in shape than less.
All right, there you have it. So what's it like to balance your regular coursework with the requirements of ROTC? Have you found you're able to achieve that balance, or has it been difficult at times?
So it's definitely difficult. It's like playing a sport. That's what I tell people. So you have your commitment to your school, your academics, and those always come first, even if we're doing like training stuff. And then you obviously have your commitment to the Army and the ROTC and your contract. But I would say there was a couple nights where, I mean, I'm a procrastinator, so it doesn't help. But I've had a couple of nights where I've had to stay up pretty late. In the aspect of making sure that you do your work, though, like our program's really good with it. Like our cadre, they'll help you. They'll make sure like if you're like falling behind in something, they'll let you like miss stuff so you can go and work on it. We have like different cadets that will help people out, like almost like a tutoring system within. So.
Talk a little bit about the cadre, like mentor role, and what that's like. It sounds like an awesome relationship to have. That's, if you're not in the ROTC, you might otherwise, have to seek that out elsewhere.
Yes. So our cadre, what they are is our professors essentially, but obviously we have like a class portion where we have one class per semester. And then also they're with us the whole time that we're doing all of our training exercises. So it's like a professor that you're like, you actually know them like more on a personal level. So you're able to like have more of a real interaction, and they actually care about you. It's not like see them a semester then you're gone. Like they're watching you go your whole way through college, and you're doing it with them. So you get to know each other. but obviously it stays professional. So,
So you're going to commission as a second lieutenant.
correct.
What role will you take on in that first 4 years, or at least that initial part of that first 4 years? And what were the options that you had to choose from?
So I am going to be a transportation officer. As far as like what I'm going to be doing, I don't quite know. I got to do a little more research on it, but the options are pretty much endless. So career paths in the Army range from being you could be a teacher, like I said, like the cadre, like you could be a teacher, you could be medical stuff, like working in a hospital, you could be an accountant, all the way to driving a tank, flying a helicopter, like all of these different stuff. I tell people pretty much anything you can do in like a civilian world, you can do within the military, which is totally cool. As far as me though, I didn't necessarily want to branch transportation. The needs of the Army kind of said, hey, we need some transportation officers. I looked at it and I was like, well, logistics, that's not too bad. That kind of lines up with my degree. And I was like, this is probably the best option for me for once I'm out of the military and going into my career. So that's how I ended up there. But there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of different stuff that people can do. It's not just like I said in that when I talked to the school, it's not just rolling in the mud. Like there's a ton of different stuff. You don't have to roll in the mud. Of course you can. You totally can. If you want to go infantry, that's rolling in the mud. But there's a lot of different things you can do.
So you had mentioned earlier that Penn College provides free room and board to contracted cadets, and you also get priority scheduling.
Yeah.
And then there's also the ROTC house.
Oh, yeah.
So how have all of these offerings or benefits helped you as a student?
A lot. For me personally, it was the financial burden that just like off of my shoulders. Extremely, extremely nice. I look at all these other kids and they all have 40, 50, however much debt that they're in. And just the sheer fact of knowing I'm going to graduate here and not have that like hanging over my head is incredible. And it's not just the tuition fees, but that room and board is that watching $500 go out of your bank account for an apartment monthly. Like that's hard to do. That's especially as a student, but like that's huge for me. That was the biggest portion.
Yeah, so you might have a couple nights where you're pulling an all-nighter, trying to cram, but it's, in the large scheme of things, not too bad considering all the benefits.
Yeah.
Summer mentioned ROTC House. Can you talk about what ROTC House is? Yeah,
so the ROTC House, we have like our own, I want to say like our own office, like kind of thing on campus. It's just a building that we have that's like kind of like a central location for us. We do like a lot of our planning there. We have like computers in there we can do schoolwork on. We do our PT over there during the summer when it's warm. We're not in the gym. But it's really just like kind of like our headquarters type of thing. There's a storage place in there. We have like a bunch of equipment. I don't know if you saw the shed behind it. That's like it's a big equipment thing. They're trying to get us like a simulated range in there, which would be pretty neat. But we're working on that one.
It doesn't look big enough.
Yeah, right. They actually get pretty small. I didn't know that, but there's that. We have a sand table, so we can do like different planning stuff. We'll like set up in the sand table and walk people through it, so they have like visual representations. There's stuff like that. Printers, like different stuff we can just utilize. It's nice.
Did West Virginia have that? Is that a common thing?
It is common to have that. Whether they utilize it for the students, though, is the difference. So theirs wasn't really, they had like a courtyard that you could go and like study in, but they didn't have like computers and stuff for like students to use like we have here. So
can you talk a little bit about the 3-day field training exercises that you all do?
Yeah. So that is the FTX or the CFTX. So we do two per year. We do one in the spring semester and one in the fall semester. The spring semester is just us. We kind of just go like this past one. We did it at the Earth Science Center. So just over the mountain, there's kind of woods back there. If you like go a little bit down past the building, we went up there, it's essentially like, it's almost like a 3-day long lab, which is those things where I was talking about where we go through the sticks, lanes, and battle tactics. But we spend like 2 nights, 3 nights there. Every day we do like different stuff. It's planned out. We'll do like land nav, which is finding different points using a map, using a compass. We do the lanes, like I said. We'll do different classes for like different things that you need to know and all this different stuff. That one is the kind of smaller one. The one that is coming up that is in the spring semester is a much bigger one. So that one we actually combine with Penn State and Bucknell and Bloomsburg and Susquehanna, and we all do one gigantic one. That is a lot of fun. What we do is we go out to Fort Indiantown Gap, which is a military base probably, I want to say, an hour or two away from here. And we have basically like a gigantic operation type thing. We do rappelling there. We do an obstacle course there. We do the land nav. We run the lanes. But you got to consider we have a lot more people, so it's a lot bigger. They like film the whole thing, and we'll have like all this stuff for it. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And it's super beneficial. You learn a lot.
Now and then we have military choppers landing on campus. Are they transporting you to that by chopper?
I'm trying. I'm trying. So it's been in the talks about doing that for a really long time, and we've been trying to get them to give us a ride. That is not necessarily from us, but we definitely, like, when that goes on, we go over there and like we have like a table set up and whatnot, and we're talking to people. I wish that we were getting rides in them. For anybody listening that's coming here, maybe in the future. Maybe. I'm working on it.
And it has happened in the past.
Oh,
okay. It has
All
happened
right.
before. It has. Yes.
Have you ridden in a...
No, I have not. I'm trying.
Okay.
I'm trying.
Let our audience hear. There might be somebody out here that can help.
Yeah. Honestly, if anybody wants to give me a ride, let me know.
How do you believe that your ROTC experience will benefit you in your future career in construction management? You talked about making a specific choice for transportation officer. Mm-hmm. So can you elaborate on that?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, having that military background for any career path is like, that's a super beneficial thing to have. A lot of companies will see that. And especially if you are an officer in the military, that screams like leadership qualities, that screams like that you can work well with others. So it's a huge resume booster. Now, I'm not doing it just for the resume booster. There's a lot of other reasons, but in that aspect, getting a job, if you're going in the military and then out of the military, is it's going to aid you a ton, just sheerly for resume purposes, but also in the aspect of like you can get the career experience that you're going into through the military.
Are you coming from a military family or?
Yeah, so my family's not military. The closest to me, I believe, would be my grandparents. My grandpa was in the Navy, so, but that like was never really like a thing that was like they never really talked about it or anything. My parents aren't in the military, so it was kind of just like something that in high school, like we had people come and they were like, "Hey, you want free college?" And I was like, "Hey, Mom, guess what I'm gonna get?" And she was like, "Oh, sure." And then obviously like got to college, did it. And then I gave her the best, "Hey, I told you so" ever. So, but I didn't have anybody really. I have an uncle who is he was a 2-star general, but he's not related to me by blood. And I only see him once in a while. So I just knew about it and took the steps to look a little bit further into it. And it was just something that seemed really interesting to me. So
I'm glad you asked that. I was thinking the same thing. Like, how does one decide if you're not in the military? Like, you're not already exposed to it to decide to do that. But you must have been a very convincing recruiter that came to your high school.
Yeah. I mean, I just always didn't really want to be stuck doing something like I didn't want to be in an office as a job. Now that I'm older, I'm like, an office wouldn't be that bad. But that's initially like why I was like, oh, I'll just go into the Army. I think the Army, like for the most part, for a lot of people, they take it like it's a backup option. I don't think it should be a backup option. It is a extremely good career starter. It'll network you. It'll give you the skills. It'll give you the opportunity afterwards. It's such a good thing to do prior to doing anything else in like as far as career wise. I think it just gets overlooked in that aspect because a lot of people are like, oh, I wouldn't do that. But there's a lot of options. It's not just rolling in the mud. Like I said, it's not just infantry. There's tons of different stuff. So, but I mean, yeah, I got into it through high school.
All right, so put yourself 4 years, 8 years in the future. You're that recruiter that's going back and visiting Palmyra High School. What are you going to tell someone considering Army ROTC? What are some of the benefits that you believe would be most attractive to a potential cadet?
Personally, I would probably tell them just like I said, like the career opportunity. You can do anything in the Army, and it's so beneficial to so many different things, like your personal qualities, to your career path, to your resume, to like just a ton of different stuff. I would tell them that. Obviously, there's the financial side, so you can go to school for free. You can find a school that's as awesome as Penn College, hopefully Penn College, and you can get free room and board. You can get like all this different stuff, and then on top of that, once you're out, you keep benefits for life. So you've veteran benefits then, and say you only did 8 years in the military, you're set up with veteran benefits. You're set up with a resume. You have your career, everything. On top of that, oh no, I just lost my train of thought. No,
I was just like, I'm sold. You mentioned the ski discount earlier for Vail Resorts. I mean, I think that's what I was gonna say. Sorry, I just remembered. On top of that, you can retire super early. So that's another thing that people just don't consider too much, is through the military, you can retire at like 35, 40 years old and then start an entire other career with a retirement. So people totally don't, I don't think my generation understands that too much. And it's bad because I don't want to work till I'm 70. Hopefully everybody listening doesn't want to work till they're 70. And that's totally a cool option to be able to make your money, retire, and have a good quality of life. So
that's something to think about time, because I remember being a 16, 17-year-old, and everyone was thinking about college, and you're like, oh my gosh, 4 more years of school. It's like you've already just done the 12, 13 years of school if you're a senior. And now you're talking about 4 years of school plus 8 years of military.
Correct.
Okay, going back to that 17-year-old, oh my gosh, how do you even make that something that they can wrap their minds around?
It goes quick. It goes really quick. 4 years of college, that's going to be gone like super duper fast. I mean, I've been in for 5 and it feels like it's been going super duper fast. In the grand scheme, I would tell them, like, look at your life from a perspective of like start to finish. Don't look at it as in right now to 5 years from now. I mean, obviously, there's definitely times where you need to do that. So don't just never look at short term, but looking at it on a long-term scale, that's a substantially small period of time. And the amount that you'll gain from even just those 8 years is substantially outweighing the cost of it. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I would personally argue like having that experience, having that career builder of 8 years, even if it's 10 years, I think that's worth it for once you're out, for your family, for honestly serving your country, for everything, for your career, everything. I think it's not that long.
That was amazing.
That was.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. We're going to have to follow up with you in 4, 8 years.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Thanks for hanging out with us today.
Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Check out our show notes for bookmarks to your favorite sections and links to resources that we mentioned in today's episode.
You can also find past episodes and see what's on deck for upcoming ones at pct.edu/podcast.
And of course, we are open to your thoughts, ideas, and suggestions, so send those over at podcast@pct.edu.
It's been real.
Catch you next time. You didn't give them the warning about do you get very passionate? You're not going to be doing that.
I haven't seen one arm move.
Okay.
It's very controlled.
Yeah. You don't know what's going to come out though when we're
I
official.
guess, yeah.
You could get really excited and
maybe
just trying to make Carlos's job a little easier.
All I know, if there's a threat, Mike's got us.
Okay.
Maybe not yet. Maybe one day.